Alright. Think we can turn that down now. Yeah, we'll just turn it off the script. Hi. My camera, my ancient ass camera, I think, is finally starting to die. So it goes. Alright, how's it going this evening, everyone? Let me get right to it. So, oops, wrong button, doing great. So, tonight we're going to discuss playing a D&D game. I am going to be running a D&D game for my kids this summer. They're, how the hell old are my kids now? They're 8 and one's turning 10 very soon. So we're going to have, this is a great time to introduce them. We've played one D&D game in the past. It was fantastic. It went really well. Super funny. I asked them if they wanted to continue playing with those characters or if they wanted to make new ones. My son 100% was like, Dad, I want to play the same character. Wants to play a Dragonborn fighter rogue or rogue fighter. Doesn't matter. He's 100% in on that. And also he got a +1 weapon at the end of the first game. So, he's 100% in. My daughter wanted to make a new character up until the very moment I gave her a new character sheet and said, okay, let's get started. And she realized how much work it was going to be. And she bounced. She was out. She's like, nope, never mind. I'll play the same character. So, she's playing a Tabaxi Druid. So, one of the challenges of this game is going to be that there's only 2 players. Which means that there are some things that we're going to have to do to make the encounters fun. And there's a couple ways we can do this. One, we can just go by... I see we still have my filters on. We can just, straight up, okay, we're just going to have a lot of really low level monsters or just 1 or 2 here and there. But let's be real, it's not a ton of fun. So what we're going to do instead is give them a sidekick. My friend Kev informed me about the sidekick rules for D&D 5, so we're going to be trying those out. So there's a couple of... It's even going to be good too, because in their first game they played, one of the encounters was an injured grizzly bear, and instead of fighting it, my daughter used Speak with Animals, talked to the bear, found out it was injured, and then together the group healed the bear and made friends with it. So, according to the sidekick rules, a sidekick can be any creature or character level 1 or lower. So, a grizzly bear is level 1. or CR1, I should say. CR1. So, going forward, that means that the grizzly bear can be their sidekick, which is great, because that's a lot more fun than having Bill, the fighter guy. Bill Nye, the fighter guy. All right. So, where does the game take place? The game takes place in a cursed forest called Blackheart Forest. So this is going to be very generic stuff. And that's fine, because I'm not pandering to an audience of exquisite taste. I'm not going to be judged very harshly. I will be judged. Don't doubt that. But as long as I make it fun, they're not going to care. So we're going to go very basic. There's a haunted forest, and on the outskirts of the forest is this castle where they reside, and this is where it's going to be their home base. They get quests here. They're going to go into this forest, deal with various monsters and adventure stuff, come back, get a reward. Very basic quest loop. We're not aiming for the stars here. We just want everybody to have fun. So, what do? First game was a bunch of goblins stole from the castle treasury, and the characters were charged with bringing it back to the castle, which was hilarious because my players, who were all children, varying in ages from, I think, 5 all the way up to 8 at the time, 8 or 9, they all became bastards in a way. So basically, they wound up. It was funny because there was 4 encounters. 3 of the encounters they ended peacefully. One of the encounters ended when the youngest player, who was a barbarian, crit a Nilbog for like, I don't know, 25 damage level 1. He just smothered the guy. Technically, he wasn't supposed to kill him, but I felt like he should be rewarded because it was fun. He was so excited. And you know what? If your players are excited about something, reward it, because that means they're having fun. Awesome. So, but they did everything peacefully for the most part. They scared or snuck around or healed, and it was really fun. It was really interesting to see them play through it. And then at the end of it, they find the castle treasure. And it was like, cool, well, you have the option now to, all right, you can bring it all back to the castle and get your reward. And they're all like, yeah, we're going to double dip on this one, though, and just say that, like, 100 gold or so fell off the back of the wagon. The goblins already spent it when we got here, and there's nothing we can do. So, them's the breaks. And so they 100% stole, and then when they brought the treasure back, they got their reward on top of it, and they were all very pleased with themselves. And I was like, you sneaky bastards. Children, man. You can't trust them. Anyway, so that was the first adventure. So we have to come up with an idea for a new adventure. I do all of my planning in Google Drive because I often am I have a Chromebook I often use for writing or doing D&D planning or running a D&D game. I usually run it off of a Chromebook because why not? You might say, but Steven, why do you not use a tablet? Well, I don't have a tablet, and also, shut up. So, that's a terrible accent. So, what am I talking about? So I started making an adventure. So when I am planning an adventure, I make an amount of notes. I make a lot of notes, typically. That's not always the case, but sometimes I make a lot of notes. So for instance, in the previous D&D game I ran for adults, I took copious amounts of notes. And I always have a file that I call cast and locations, which I share with everybody playing the game. And this has NPCs that first of all, it has the party. It always starts with the party because they're the most important people. But in this document, I have locations, characters, organizations that are important. And if you're looking at this and thinking, holy shit, that's a lot of information, you're not wrong. It is. And that's why it's in a shared document, so that people can come to it, find it, access it. It's good stuff. So, anyway, So that's some of the notes taking I do. So what I always do for when I'm planning a game, I always write out like a synopsis, what I want the game to happen. So I'm thinking in this one, what's something that's going to get the characters into the forest? Because that's always the thing. The forest is the location where the adventures take place. So how do I get them into the forest? Well, right now we're going to say that someone has been starting fires in the forest near the castle. And Lord Ironbeard, who's the dwarven castellan of Sentinel Castle, once again, we're not going for originality here when it comes to names. We just need it to be memorable. He wants the party to go investigate, and he's going to pay them X dollars. I don't know. We'll get to reward later. I'll have to look at the DMG and look at like level appropriate stuff. But once again, it's a little hazy at this point because they're kids. They want fun stuff. They do like money. I know this to be true for lots of reasons, but long story short, money is always good. Cash in hand is always good. So we set it up. So first the introduction, next the adventure. All right, so the quest. The party will be summoned by Lord Ironbeard, who will be in an excitable state. I believe I always do voices for the important NPCs. I forget what his voice was. I believe it was "Oh goodness, oh," which is fun for because he's very like drama queen. But that's great because it makes a memorable character. Giving him a tick or some sort of thing that people can hone in on. Perfect. I just want to make sure yeah, okay. So so I already did this. All right. He will offer the party 20 gold pieces per person for a successful investigation. So this is just what he's paying them. They're going to find probably other treasure in the forest because they're going to do stuff. All right, then we're going to introduce some possible NPCs that are going to aid them. These are the sidekicks I was talking about earlier. So the sidekicks, we have Rauru the bear. A lot of these. So he's just a grizzly bear. One level of the sidekick class basically gives him an extra skill. I gave him Intimidate because normally because Intimidate's a weird skill. Intimidate, he would normally be at a -2, despite the fact that he's a fucking grizzly bear, which, it's D&D. Some of the rules are they're a little like this. But, so I gave him training in Intimidate because, I feel like he should be at least a little scary. But the rest of this is pretty much just bang on. Oh, he has advantage on con checks. That's his other advantage. That's the other thing that he got. And then he got a second wind. So, not bad. Kind of cool. Whoops, I did not mean to do that. So anyway, so he's one of the possible allies for the party. So we're going to have a warrior, an expert, and I forget what the other one's called. I don't have the document up. It's called but it's a spellcaster, basically. So we're going to have Rauru the bear, because we're coming back to the first game, and I think they're going to get a kick out of it. Who doesn't love a fucking grizzly bear? It's rad. Who else? Ellen. So Ellen is a dark-skinned elven woman, anxious to stop the fires from occurring. It's thought that she knows more about Blackheart Forest than anyone else alive. So this is I'm thinking in this world, yeah, we're not going to get into it. I'll just say that Ellen, the elf, she's going to be our expert. She's going to be our rangery, roguey character. Okay, so, but that means that we need the spellcaster. Like I said, I don't have the file up. I was going to say X. So what kind of spellcaster do we want? We want something interesting. So we're probably not going to go for a human. We're probably going to go for something fun that the kids will get a kick out of. So we'll say a gnome. Gnome spellcaster 1. All right. We're gonna make the gnome spellcaster male because we already got a lady. And then we'll go. We need a name for the gnome. I often go for names with. I often go to real life languages for names. That's my personal preference. I like to pick like a culture or a language and kind of base naming traditions off of that because why not? We'll give it a shot. But in this case, a gnome, we just need a fun name because the kids don't care. Once again, they just need it to be fun, entertaining, and cool. So we want a name that is going to be fun for them to say. So we're just going to steal one from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It's call him Snarty. No, autocorrect, bad. Snarty Bartfarst, which they're going to kick out of because it sounds like fart. This is not highbrow humor, kids. Okay, then a quick description. Blartfarst is a long time resident of Sentinel Castle and often travels into Blackheart Forest in search of magical reagents. Okay, that's not good. That's passive. Is always excited to travel into Blackheart Forest. This way, he's like, oh yeah, I'd love to go. Heck yeah. Perfect. Great. Okay, so I will stat these guys out down here and then link them up for ease of use later. And I need to think of a better name than Ellen the Elf. Maybe just Ellen will work. Okay. So, we've got NPCs for them to hire, or not hire, but travel with as the game goes. Okay. That's the introduction section done. Okay, so what? Level 2 heading. Okay, we like to keep this organized. I'll say into the forest. Okay, so we have the setup. Characters going into the forest to find out who's setting fires. Okay, so say this part's not very interesting at the moment. Party leaves Sentinel Castle at the break of day. Alright, so what do we want them to do? We need encounters, right? Okay, so perhaps what we should do first is decide what is setting the fires. So, it's my thought that most things that live in a forest wouldn't set fires intentionally. Something else that I want to do in this game that I find to be important is that I always want there to be someone or something. How am I going to say this? No, that's not right. I always want there to be a possibly non-violent resolution to all the problems. And I want this for a couple of reasons. One, I don't want this to turn into a fucking slaughterfest because one, they're my kids and I don't want them to teach them that all the answers in the world are violent ones. Two, my daughter, my eldest child, very strongly believes that violence is not the answer to most problems, in theory, until she gets mad enough at her brother. But that's neither here nor there. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that most of these encounters have at least a non-violent solution. Right? Okay. So we want to say, which isn't to say that there aren't going to be bad guys. There are. It's a D&D game, and besides, people like a good bad guy. So, what do we need to do here? We need to figure out what's setting the fires. It's a long way. Sometimes you got to walk around a problem or an idea to get to the end. So, this is where we come to the Kobold Fight Club. So, kobolds.club, for those of you who are new to running D&D, Kobold Fight Club is an absolutely necessary tool for running Dungeons and Dragons. I'm not exaggerating this. The gentlemen or people who put this site together, Ian Toltz, Joe Barzilai, and Jin the Blue, who drew the kobold. You know what? You get credit too. These guys have saved me, I'm not exaggerating, hours of time. So, what this does is you put in the number of players you have, put in what their level is, add another level. That's weird. It'll give you the XP budget for the day, and you can just put creatures in, and it'll show you what the difficulty is of that encounter. This tool is incredible. Super good. And you can even create random things. Oh, yeah, look, a Bullywug and a Winged Kobold. That's a medium fight. Of course, why would you do that? I don't know. I've never used the random generator because typically you have a themed fight in mind. Fine. That's great. So, what setting fires? So, if we type in fire, let's look at what we got here. So we're getting is a lot of elementals. Obviously, anything above level 1 is a no-go. They're level 1 characters. I forget what the general rule of thumb is, but I think it's like one level 1 creature is worth a couple of level 1 characters-ish. I don't know. It's been a long time. So, but I kind of like the idea. Like a Fire Newt Warrior from Volo's Guide to Monsters, which I have, and I should have pulled out my D-books, but I didn't. Let's see if we can just take a quick Google. All right, there's some books you can pick up off of the floor, but in any case, they're medium-sized humanoid newts that are made of fire. They're exactly what it says on the tin. So one Fire Newt Warrior, how many? All right, 2 is too many. But, all right, Giant Fire Beetle. Oh, okay. So what if he's riding a Giant Fire Beetle? So it says here that a Fire Newt Warrior is medium and a Giant Fire Beetle is small. But here's the wonderful thing. I don't care. We can say the Giant Fire Beetle is the size of a horse. That's kind of cool. So what if, so it could be that this Fire Newt Warrior is the one setting the fires. Is he doing it intentionally? That's a good question. How did he get here? Another good question. These are all questions we're going to figure out in-game. These are questions we need to solve as we play. And this is exciting. So this is also a potential encounter. Fire Newt Warrior, Giant Beetle, medium. Okay. We can put a lot of fire beetles in there. And here's the thing about this, though. This game is also going to be informational for me because I need to figure out how powerful the sidekicks are. Because there's a chance that Rauru the Bear, who I assume they're going to take, but I shouldn't make that assumption. But I don't know how powerful these people are. So it could be that they bring the bear and the bear just rips through everything. Damn it. It could be that the sidekicks are fairly weak sauce, in which case I don't want to overtune it. So we're going to play it safe. I counted him as being another player, and we're going to leave it at that. So, all right, I will have to look up this creature, but I'm not going to do it right now. But once again, this is D&D, you can change everything about this creature if you want, and it's totally fine. I do like the idea. I do like the idea of this Fire Newt Beetle riding a giant beetle. I like the idea of him perhaps being summoned unintentionally. I like but who summoned him? And this is another great idea. We can lead this idea back to the overarching plot of the Blackheart Forest, which we know as a setting is cursed or haunted or under the influence of some sort of malign magic. Awesome. So perhaps he was summoned by the person who is in charge of all this bad juju, or a minion of theirs. He's an experiment gone wrong, some sort of magical ritual. Who knows? But this is where we come in. This is where we're going to find out. So let's just keep this for now. So we can, and this uses, our daily budget is 900 XP. So that's like, I don't know, 10% of our budget, maybe more than 10%, but whatever. Oh, this is the old document. I can get rid of that. All right, so you go down here and then page break, heading 1, encounters. And then we say We'll make this encounter A for now. We can change it. I make the encounters A through Z. Okay, that's enough of that nonsense. Alright. Okay, so I don't care about the player XP so much because I'm just going to level people up as I go. I'm not going to keep careful track. I don't care. Alright, so 1 Fire Newt Warrior, 1 Giant Beetle, 165 XP. Great, nailed it. Let's see. Okay, so that's what's setting the fires. Probably unintentionally. Alright, day of day. Alright, so go here. I will say inspecting the fires. The party will be led to the location of the fire closest to the castle to investigate. I apologize also if I start drooping off. It's a little late and I've been talking for almost a half an hour straight. At some point I'm gonna have to take a break. The party will be led to the location of the fire closest to the fire. Blah. Okay, so let's look up D&D 5e skills. Let's look up the skills index. Okay, so this is probably going to be an investigation check. There could be an argument made for perception, but it's most likely the flip. Looker for clues makes based on deduction. You make an intelligence investigation check. Right, and then perception is you use it to detect things. And this is one of the weaknesses of 5e, where they split skills up into other skills, or they compress skills into one skill. It's a mess, but it is what it is. So, what is the difficulty check for skills? Ability checks, typical difficulty classes. Okay, so 15 is the average. I put important skill rules in bold so I can find them easily when I'm running a game. Intelligence, investigation, 15. All right, so here we go. We've got an intelligence check to be made. Neither of the characters is super good at this, if I remember correctly. Neither of them are brainy folk, because one's a rogue and one's a druid. Intel's a dump stat for both of them. I know, listen, and before you give me shit about saying that, I don't care. All right, so here we go. Success indicates that the players find a strange set of footprints, parentheses, quotation marks, leading deeper into the forest. I think nature is intel also. Yep. Intelligence, nature, 15. We're just gonna make most of the checks 15. We'll identify them as giant insect tracks. Exclamation point. It's exciting. Come on. Get in there. Okay. Party will be led into the location of the fires closest to the castle. Okay, so here's the thing. Whenever you have a skill check, you don't want failure to slam the door on the game or the progress of the plot. That's rookie amateur hour mistakes, because then you sit there and you go, well, you didn't make the skill check, so I don't know what to tell you. And your players are like, well, I mean, the skill checks are how we interact with the world. What are we going to do? Well, it's a good question. So what you should do is, there's a couple of different ways you can handle this. There's the fail forward method, where it's the yes, but, right? Yes, you find what you need, but there's a complication. In D&D, that's a little bit more difficult to do, only because monsters and everything is codified to the nth degree, and it's hard to wing that on the fly. Usually it takes the DM has to go, okay, these guys need to give me a couple minutes while I get this together. Breaks the flow of the game. I don't like it. So we're not going to do that. Sometimes a failure is a lesser success. So maybe you don't get all of the information that you normally would. So in this case, it could be that success gives them the opportunity to identify the tracks, or maybe success here leads them to get advantage on the nature roll to identify the tracks because they did a good job. By the way, if anybody's watching this and has any commentary or wants to chip in some ideas, please do. I welcome and encourage it. Okay, so let's do that. Say if the players succeed in the investigation roll, they gain advantage on the nature check. Let's do this. And I'll also have to write a description. It's always good to keep notes of ways to describe things. One of my weaknesses as a DM is I'm very bad at describing the scene. My friend Kevin, that is probably his greatest strength when he DMs, is that he's able to, what I call it setting the table. He creates brilliant scenes. I've always been envious of that. So it's something that I personally need to work on, and it's been one of my two reoccurring criticisms that I get from players. Maybe I should say feedback instead of criticism, but either way, you understand what I'm saying. So, party will closes the fire. I'm going to make a note here. I'll probably do this off stream. It's a little bit difficult for me to concentrate on writing when I'm doing this, as it turns out, because all of my brain power is going into this microphone. So, create a description of the scene. Put this up here. And tell you this. Go. Why did you? What the flip and flip? All right, there we go. Failure means that the players don't learn anything special about the site, except that, but they can follow the burns the burning tracks deeper into the forest. So something else you could do for a success is sometimes you can give them the players a physical bonus, like a tangible reward for succeeding. In this case, I don't think that makes any sense to do that. So we'll just say that success means that they're better equipped or prepared for what is to come. It's my cat scared the shit out of me. All right. Okay, so good. That's good. So they get to the scene, they investigate it, write a description about the burning. Okay, I just had an idea for the fire newt. Perhaps he's only shows up at night. He's like, it's some sort of something about the spell. He only pops up at night. And that's when the fires only start at night. He pops in and out of this plane of existence, perhaps. It's like a faulty summoning spell. Neither of the characters are spellcasters, so it may be that they just don't. This is something that's just for my edification, for my mindset, getting my head around it. But, yeah, I like the idea, though. So we'll keep that in mind. Actually, I'm going to make a note of this somewhere. Just normal text. If something bad, capital space, has attempted to summon a fire newt and its noble steed into the material plane, but kinda screwed it up. The fire newt only appears at night, sets some fires, mostly accidentally. Thank you, autocorrect. And vanishes with the sun. The players will have to either slay the fire newt or counteract the spell. Alright, so there we go. Alright, so actually, counteract the spell or come up with an idea of their own. Because you should never underestimate the power of the player's ability to fuck up your campaign. That goes for people of any age. So here we are. I like this summary better than that. And this is also good because it's going to make me consider who is the bad guy, who is doing this, why are they doing it, what's the big overarching motivation here. These are great questions to ask now too. So I'm thinking, what I want to say is a hag, because I haven't had the opportunity to use a hag in a game the way I'd like to. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh, so good. This will give me several levels of good encounters. Let's see what level they have to be, like 5 or 6 for some of these guys. What's a green? I think the green hag's the forest one, right? Green hag. Amphibious. Okay. She's the sneaky one. So let's just do this. D&D 5e hag. A night hag. This doesn't have a lot of... Okay, well, whatever the case is. Green hag, night hag, sea hag. Okay. Alright, I'll look that up. I don't have to bore everybody with the details there. What's important is I think that the bad guy of Blackheart Forest is going to be a hag. And that gives me a couple of levels for me to take the kids, bring them into the forest, do quests, slowly piece together who's behind everything, and rush to a confrontation where they can defeat the hag, and then they're heroes, and then we can move on from there. Because we have created a world map, which is great. And I don't have a picture of it right now because I'm clearly not properly prepared. But that's okay. When we started making and preparing for this game, I asked them, well, did you want everything to be localized or did you want to make like a world map? And my son didn't really care. He's just in it. I think he's mostly in it for the dice rolling and the numbers because he really likes that kind of thing. But my daughter is a story person and she's like, no, I want to investigate the world. So we're going to investigate the world. But this starting area is good for them to learn the rules, get comfortable with them, learn more about their characters, and then, yeah. Fun note. So I was also thinking about this because this is an issue that is probably going to come up. What happens when a character dies? These are kids. If their character dies, they're going to be upset. Fair enough. I know adults who get upset when their character dies. It happens. You get attached to these characters. So what happens when a character dies? Well, I was thinking about it. So there's two things that can happen, right? Or three things, actually. One, I'm a grumpy DM and I say, well, your character dies, you have to deal with it. And honestly, that's a shitty way to go with little kids. It's not going to fly. Also, I mean, they're my kids and I have to deal with their mother if she gets mad at me, and it's not worth it. So we're not going to do that. Two, they can be taken prisoner, which is great. They've already made a couple of enemies in their first game with some goblins. It could be that they get taken prisoner. Third, they get rescued, which actually can work with number 2. So we have some options there, which is great. So, in other words, I've thought about this a bit. So, what was I talking about? I was talking about using a hag as a bad guy. Perfect. So, I'll do that. Oh, what's up, Mace? Thanks for following. Appreciate it. So, for now, we'll assume that one of these hags, or one of the hags, the hag or one of the people, the hag that works for the hag, has summoned a fire newt, fucked it up, and now the players have to deal with it. And once again, like I said, they'll have to either slay the newt, counteract the spell, or come up with an idea of their own, because I'm sure that if I ask them, they're going to come up with some ideas. Here's another important thing when you're running a game. If your players have a good idea, even if it is not what you thought the game was going to go with, if it sounds like a good idea, try and run with it. It's not to say that all good ideas are worth running with, but at least hear it out. And in the end, if you want, you can always say, well, make a skill check. Which, it is what it is. But for kids, it's really fun to listen to them come up with ideas. So we will see what they come up with. Okay, so they go into the forest, they inspect the fires, give them a description, they roll an investigation check. If they succeed, give more details about what it was. Failure just means that they get to continue following the plot. It's going to be a little railroady. The path leads deeper. The party follows the path of destruction deeper into the heart of the forest. Okay. So the party follows the presence has not gone unnoticed. Okay, so here's a good place for like some sort of ambush or something. We once again turn to our good friends at Kobold Club. What is a good low-level monster encounter? Awakened shrubs are fun. We've already had some run-ins with goblins. Oh wait, I said it the wrong. I was like, huh, my XP budget's super high. What's happening? Alright, so 2 goblins looks like it's about what we got here if they want to get ambushed by goblins. But we're in a dark, spooky forest, so what's a cool, dark, spooky forest thing? Swarm of ravens. Oh. Could be evil birds of some sort, possessed by some sort of the forest spirit. I kind of like that idea. What's another cool forest thing? Like a panther? You might be thinking, but Steven, panthers don't live in the jungle, or they don't live in the forest. It's fine. Nobody cares. A treant's a super high level creature. Treant's actually level 9. And I'm actually thinking about using a treant as an ally to the party. A Leshy. I don't think they have those in the... Yeah, in 5th edition. Wait, hold on. Is my set sources? Okay, I have all my sources set. Good. But yeah, I'm thinking about using a treant as an ally. But we do have, like I said here, the awakened shrubs. You need to throw a shit ton of awakened shrubs. 8 awakened shrubs. That might be kind of fun. And that'll give Sam a chance to use his lightning breath, which he's super excited to do because he's playing a blue dragonborn. So why don't we go with that? The trees come to life. Encounter. Buh. Let's make that normal text. Okay, cool. And then we come up here. Start encounter B. And then we make a fun little hyperlink to the headings. Here. Apply. And so when I get to the point, I can always just click it. Whether or not I need to, it's also easy to go Control End and I'm at the end. Changes to ambush in the forest. Then D&D 5e animated shrub. Awakened shrub, sorry. Alright, what are these guys? They're indistinguishable from normal shrubs. So they hit for 1 point of damage. They're not super scary. Vulnerable to fire. I don't remember what my daughter's cantrip is. It might be Produce Flame, it might be Thorn Whip. I don't remember. I should really have my stuff out the next time I do this. Oh, they speak a language. They're actually intelligent. They're very intelligent. They're more intelligent than people are for the most part. These are very interesting creatures. So I also like this because they're intelligent, and we'll say a language spoken by their creator. I'll look at my kids' character sheets and see if there's anything interesting, like if one of them speaks like Sylvan or something. Otherwise, we'll just have them speak Common. Because it could be that the plants shake them down. Like it doesn't have to be like, what do the plants want? Are they just carnivorous plants? Do they just want to eat them? Could be. But like I said, I want every encounter in this game to have the possibility of a non-violent solution. So the awakened shrubs are intelligent and are willing to listen to the party should the party attempt to engage them in conversation. That sounds like a diplomacy check to me. What is, except that we don't have persuasion. It's not diplomacy in 5e, it's persuasion. Or intimidate. This is a good time to make some charisma, persuasion, or intimidation checks. And then we'll do the same thing we did up there. Success indicates X, failure indicates that the shrubs are pissed and are going to try and rip the party limb from limb. Get it? Limbs? Because they're plants. Alright, it was bad. That the shrubs are willing to talk for persuasion or run like hell. Intimidate. If I could spell hell correctly. There we go. Nailed it. I'm the best. Okay. Great. We have an encounter. And that currently puts our encounter budget at 365. We're a little bit more than a third of the way. Maybe if the party makes like a tree, they'll leave. You son of a bitch. It's pretty good. All right. God damn it, Mace. Out-punned, out-joked. Listen, I'm the dad here. All right, I get to make the dad jokes. All right. Okay. So, actually, I'm going to put this in here. Or, yeah. In honor of Mason, make like a tree and leaf. Just loading the gun. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Make me look good. Alright. If they talk, the shrubs will say that they have been instructed to, not instructor, instructed to, autocorrect, you son of a bitch, instructed, thank you, to guard this area of the forest. What are they guarding? Another charisma check. I figure that a charisma check is in order here. If they make a charisma check, and it could be that they're guarding some sort of treasure. But this is going to be more difficult. We're going to say this is going to be a charisma 20 check, right? Because this is they're asking them to give up their precious information, which I believe is a hard task. Yes. So, charisma 20 check will indicate that the shrubs are guarding a treasure. The party may also ask who they're guarding the treasure for. This is not golf, and the shrubs. We're going to make this an easy charisma check. We're going to say this is charisma 10, because these shrubs are more than happy to talk about whatever badass creature made them. So, we're going to put a little bit of space in here for my son of a... okay, the talk. Alright, so what's a good first level treasure that these forest creatures might be guarding? Let's see if there's a treasure generator. There is. D20 random treasure generator. Level standard. Oh my god. Oops. Items. No gems, no art. We're interested in fun things. Okay, that's just money. I need... Okay, well, like I said, I don't have my DMG with me at the moment, so we're just gonna say, Steve, look up a cool treasure for the love of God. What is this amateur hour? Jesus. Alright, that's a good aggressive note to leave myself. I'm gonna look at this tomorrow and be like, God, man, you're so hard on yourself. Why are you so hard on yourself? And then it means to be like, shut up, nerd. Alright, so that'd be cool. The question is, do they give it up? Probably not. They're not super interested in giving the party the treasure. what does the party do? Charisma, another charisma check to convince the creatures to give the party the item. Or they can try and steal it, which is going to be a fun thing for them to try and do. My son's playing a rogue, and he's written up a backstory, and in his backstory, he's already identified the fact that he's a kleptomaniac. He steals from everybody. So, him trying to steal it is very much in character. So, if you've been watching for a little bit, which I know most people haven't, but if you have been watching for a little bit, you'll notice that what started out as, okay, we're going to ambush, this seems like a good time for an encounter, has turned into not just a fight, but the possibility for multiple things to come together. These shrubs aren't just a battle to be had. That's lazy DMing. What you want to do is every encounter you have something that links to the greater scene, or at least try to make the monsters interesting. Sometimes when you're DMing, and I do this all the time too, and it's a failure of mine, sometimes you just want to have an encounter. Sometimes your players just want you to make an encounter. That's fine. But to really kick it up a notch, you got to take that encounter and either link it back to the world or something. So this is great. We went from being, okay, it's an ambush in a forest, to, okay, now we have this group of creatures that are linked to the world because they were created by something to guard a treasure, which is something that the players can interact with. They have lots of different things to do now. I can't imagine that these to steal from these creatures, I can't imagine it's difficult, right? Like, they're intelligent, but they're trees. They may not even, they might even be able to bargain for it. Like, oh, well, this is an equal value thing. But we're going to leave that up to the kids, because the kids aren't stupid, and they'll come up with something clever. So, and then, okay, we have here, who is the shrubs guarding the treasure for? Charisma 10. We're not going to get into that right now either, but this links it back to the world. Now, you might also be thinking, but Steven, you are making all of this work for yourself, but it might be that they just attack these shrubs. Yeah. That's the danger of the game, that sometimes you plan stuff out, and what you planned out is just nothing. It never comes up. It's worthless. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Okay, so we've got an ambush set up, possible combat. Something important to note, though, even if they don't do this, I'm not using XP for the game. I'm just going to tell them to level up when I think that they're comfortable with their first level stuff. If your party goes through and completes the encounter, even if there's not a fight, if they overcome the encounter, give them the XP. Just because they didn't stab anybody doesn't mean that they didn't earn it. Okay. So, what do we got here? This seems like a good amount of work for this. Okay. I'm going to stop for the moment because my throat is getting sore. I need to take a break, and it's actually almost 11 o'clock. I would like to continue doing this because I actually had fun discussing this, and it was easier than I thought it would be to just word vomit into a microphone. So if you found this helpful, please follow. I don't even know it says I have viewers, but I don't know if it's just people I know already. In any case, Mace, thanks for watching. Thank you for the feedback. I appreciate it. It's always helpful. Pika. And yeah, I'll probably try and do this again tomorrow if I can start on time. I started later than I wanted to today. I wanted to start closer to 9, and I started at 10 instead. So that's a bummer. But in any case, yeah, thank you very much for watching, Mace. I appreciate it. And I'll talk to everybody soon.